here today we have a Clark College an alumni who went through the web development program. I believe graduated 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Well, sort of.
Sort of. You did.
Yeah, I graduated.
Yeah. So, and I've had the pleasure of keeping in touch with Christine over the years and getting together and talking about her experiences, and asked her to come join the speakers series here to talk about what she does, because I bet you in a lot of respects what you thought you were going to be doing is a bit different than what you're doing now, right?
Yeah.
All right, so how about an introduction, how about a warm welcome for Christine Watson?
Hi, everybody. I work at Formations Design Group, which is a small agency. We focus on graphic design and web design. We do some development, and so just so you know what our scope is, we have an application that we built for Subaru of America. It's a reporting application. Every week, all the dealers log in and put in their sales information, and that is stored on our Amazon 3 server. And they can, on the national level, regional and zone levels, they can go in and access that data at any time. They do a lot of comparing, and when they crash it, they call me. We also are doing an upgrade on that. We finished that last year in, I want to say November. It might have been the end of October, so right about a year ago. And we are currently working on an update for them. But anyway, what I do, my title is project manager, but I am also an accounts manager. I am the person all clients contact when they have a problem, or if they want to get information, or if they want a meeting, or if they want training, they come talk to me. So it's not just project management. My typical day, I wanted to do this because Troy mentioned, I think, what he does in a typical day. So here's what I did today. Today, my first thing out the gate was troubleshooting because something was broken. I fixed several media queries, and I added some CSS to a site. I added content to a site that a client sent in and got the basic formatting in there so our designer later in the day could add design touches and make it really pretty. And I emailed several clients. Then I added some tasks into, we use Glip, not Slack. And I added those tasks in there so that while I was here, they would not be slacking. Okay, it's a tech joke. But anyway, then let's see. I wrote a proposal, submitted it to the two partners. They gave me feedback. I fixed it where they wanted it fixed, sent it to a client, answered some client questions, and did a few more emails while I was eating lunch, and then I came here. So that's half of a day for you right there. That's my pretty typical day, though. I do everything from CSS to talking to clients, and anyway. So I don't want to show you our website. You guys can check it out later. We are suffering from the cobbler's children problem. You know that? The cobbler's children have the worst shoes in town because he never has time to take care of theirs. Our website is dated, and I'm not going to show it to you because it's dated, and it's been in, we've had 2 versions in production in the time I've been there, and neither one of them have gotten finished. So, I should not have said that because I know they're going to watch this later. But anyway, so that's who I am. 3 years ago, I think, I was sitting in these exact seats watching other people come up here and talk about what they do, give us advice, and I think I was probably sitting in that seat because I was up there always taking notes. I know, it's a good seat.
That's what they
I was always taking notes because I didn't want to miss something important. And this class, believe it or not, helped shape the direction that I went in. And the reason is because I heard people all the time saying the same few things, and Feline hit on some of them. Some of the other speakers hit on some of them. I'm one of the 200 people that was watching those videos. But I'm going to do my own version anyway. So, change is something that you're going to experience because of the field that we are in. Actually, it's really just society. We're in a fast-paced society. And people are always coming up with new, innovative ways to do things. So you're going to see changes in code, and I'm not going to get into PHP 7, but I just want to say I love PHP 7. I don't do a lot with it, but I am seeing what it does for our clients, and wow, it loads those photos so darn fast. I forgot to mention, in case any of you are in web development, I'm not sure what the breakup of the class is, but okay, we're Joomla. We're a Joomla shop. So it's like WordPress, but it's a little different. And we have a whole different set of software developers that we work with for extensions. And Joomla is somewhere between WordPress and Drupal. Normally, that's where we're rated. It's extremely popular in Europe, in Asia. A lot of our developers are from Asia, and then we have a few developers in the US that we work with, and also Australia. So they are the guys that I count on for all of those changes, because we mostly work with our clients to give them the websites that they want. But before I get to that, I was here and I was in the web design and development course, program, whatever, before it was split. I was so excited. I was going to do design. I was going to learn how to code. I was going to make these beautiful websites, and I didn't need anybody else to help me. And then they announced they were going to split it, and I had to choose. And I didn't want to choose. I wanted to do everything. So I had, I don't know, probably a quarter or so to figure out which direction I was going to go in, because Mr. Hughes was kind enough to give me a heads up. And I was thinking, well, I like making pretty things, so I'm going to go into design. Design's going to be great because I will be able to make all these great things, and people are going to love it, and they're going to love me. And I took a class with Crystal Plins. Now, I love Crystal. She is an excellent instructor. I would not have missed any of her courses. And one of the things I love about Crystal is that she will be honest with you. So I spent 50 hours one week, totally ignored all my other homework, and did this fantastic project for Crystal. I couldn't wait for class to start because I knew when she came in, she was going to say, wow, that is awesome. Don't change a thing. That's not what happened. She said to the person right next to me, that's really great. Just tweak this a little bit and then you're there. And she got to my screen and she went, I don't like any of those colors. What did you do? This, change this, do this. And she's like, then she's writing notes for me, right? Because it's so bad. And I thought, oh man, I thought that was really good. So I spent more time and I did all of her changes, and she was right. I didn't have enough background in color or art to know how to put things together in a way that really made it look great. So I was just going off of, my scrapbooking experience wasn't very helpful. Crystal, though, she was great. But I took that experience where I really internalized that criticism, which was good, constructive criticism, but I internalized it, and I thought maybe I'm not really so much of a designer, because, you know, if a client tells me that sucks, I can't be getting upset about it, right? So at the same time, I was taking this HTML class around that same time, and the first 3 weeks were horrible, and the instructor made me cry more than once. It wasn't really his fault, but he did make me cry. I'm just teasing. Oh. I had never seen markup. I didn't know what markup was. My first day of class, I was sitting there thinking he was speaking some other language that I had never heard of before, and I didn't know what I was going to do because I really wanted to do well. And about the 3rd, 4th week, somewhere in there, something clicked. I made something work, and it was awesome. It was like the best feeling in the world. I made something work, and I actually understood why it worked, and then something didn't work, and I made Bruce come look at it. And he told me not how to fix it. He didn't tell me what fixed it. He told me the direction to go in to get there, which was fantastic. So I was getting all excited about HTML. I was getting excited about CSS and what I was learning there. And then I had that experience with Crystal that made me question my design chops. So I thought, I'll be a coder. This will be great. So I adapted. I figured out what I could learn. And I had to work with that change. But part of that was evaluating myself. And you are going to have to do this too, and it's going to be a constant thing. It's not just, well, you're here at school. You're going to have to evaluate yourself, where you are, what you need to know, and do that next thing. Because we have to keep learning. There is no, okay, I've arrived and I'm done. It doesn't work like that. You have to keep learning. So, know your strengths and be honest with yourself. Next thing, and this is a common theme, so you will recognize this. Connections, we all need them. We all need to find ways to connect with other people. And I know Erin already told you that you never know, that person that you connect with on Twitter or Facebook or something might come back to give you some really great project in Alaska. I'm not jealous at all. So yeah, make those social media connections, but also go to meetups, groups. There are lots of organizations. We're lucky in this area that there are several different groups that get together, especially if you're willing to cross the river into Portland. I was a member of Kai-Fu, which Feline just left to go to. I was a member of Kai-Fu until I realized I didn't have time to go to the meetings anymore. When you're working in a small agency, here's the difference between working for yourself, where you set your own schedule, and when you work in a small agency. We work when there's work. This week, I am going to work probably about 50 hours. Not because they want me to work 50 hours, but because we're a small agency and there's only so many of us, and we have to do what we have to do to get stuff done for our clients. So I will work as many hours as it takes to get it done, but they also give me time off. So, you have to keep in mind that wherever you work, it might not be the same as what it is for me, but there are weeks where I might get 22 hours. So it kind of, in a weird way, balances out. I haven't had a 22-hour week since February, But they happen. Every once in a while, we just have a gap where there's no work to be done, and that's how it is. Anyway, school's another way to make connections. This handsome guy up there on that screen. I made a lot of connections while I was at school. That's how I know Troy. Troy and I went to school at the same time here, and he was actually one of my teammates for the PHP2 class. And I met Cheryl my last quarter here. I met Cheryl Bledsoe. She was my client. I worked in Web Design 2 class with a team to build Cressa, a new website. Cheryl was there when we started, and you guys will probably have this happen at some point. Client left in the middle, and we got a new client with a whole new scope for the project. They had different priorities, and it changed our project in the middle. It happens. It happens now. I had that happen with Vancouver Housing Authority recently. So, you know, that's the way it goes. For me, I took another class from Crystal. I actually didn't want to take this class. I really wanted to have an internship, but I didn't get one. So I ended up taking this class from Crystal, and I thought, okay, I got to stop moping around and get what I can out of this class. I decided to look at it as an opportunity. So I chose a project for this class that would force me to go around to the different agencies in the Vancouver area and talk to people that work there. We had the opportunity to meet a lot of people from different agencies in the classroom and in their businesses, but there were several that we didn't go talk to. And so I thought, well, okay, I'm going to go talk to some of those, and that'll be my final project and whatever. So I went and interviewed some people with the focus on project management. The reason I did that is because by this point, by the time I was in this class, I had been figuring out that while I could code and I could understand a lot of it, I was never going to be as fast and awesome as Troy. It's just not me. I could probably keep working at it and be a passable coder, but I'm never going to be Troy. And I'm not really a great designer. I have figured out colors, but I'm really kind of middle of the road, and I'm not special at that stuff. But in every team that I was put on for school, I wanted to organize it. I wanted to say, oh, we have to have this done by this time, or we won't get the project done. You know, I kept telling people that. And I think Mr. Hughes called it mommying the team. But that's okay. I was mommying the team. But that's really project management. And so I started thinking, well, maybe I should find out about this project management thing and see if that's going to work out for me. So I went to Formations. That was one of the places that I went. I also went to this other agency. I won't say the name, but I wanted to work there so bad. And no, it's not Gravitate, but I really, really, really wanted to work there because I thought they were a great group of people, and I thought it'd be fun to work there. And they said no right off the bat. Nope. But Formations, I went there to talk to them about my school project, and I talked to them for what I thought was probably about an hour. You guys have probably guessed by now I don't have a problem talking. And I was there for 2 hours, and at the end of it, they said it was really great to meet me, and I thought, that's great. I'll never see them again. I'll never talk to them again. I went and finished my project. I finished school. I graduated, and I didn't have a job. I didn't have an internship. I had nothing. I'd been working I noticed she's gone, but I'll say it anyway. I had been working here at Clark in the scholarship office, so I made arrangements to keep on working here at Clark in the scholarship office. And a week later, after all the papers were signed, Formations called me out of the blue, and they said, "Hey, do you remember us?" And I said, "Yeah, I remember you." They said, "We would like to talk to you about an internship." So I went and talked to them about it. And I was not sure I wanted to work there. I'm going to be totally honest. I did not know if this was a good fit for me. I didn't know anything about Joomla. I knew some stuff about WordPress. I didn't know anything about Joomla. I wasn't sure if I could pull off that whole project management thing. And I wasn't sure how I would fit in with them. So I agreed to an internship with no pay, so I wouldn't feel bad if I just walked away, right? But I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity if I hadn't gone out there and made those connections. So that was my point. But I wanted to tell you, I pulled this photo into this slide because my sister put it in Facebook. And the reason she put it up there is this guy on the left, that very handsome guy up there, that's my grandfather. He served in World War II as a medic in Europe, and that guy standing next to him is very young in this photo. He's not so young now, but you guys know who he is. My grandfather is Carl Allen Anderson. The guy next to him is Bill Anderson. You probably don't know that name, but you probably know him as Adam West. He's an actor. Oh. And so there's your 6 degrees of separation. There you go. Now you know somebody who knows Adam West. Actually related to him. And the ladies are the Wolves with an F anyway. It was kind of fun. She put that photo up there, and I thought, oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Okay, so once you have an in, you got to make yourself a valuable member of your team. Small agencies rely on everybody to pull their weight, and sometimes you're not going to be doing something that you feel like is your job, but it's what needs to be done, and that's what you're going to do. For me, when I first started at Formations, that meant I had to learn something about Joomla. I had to figure out what extensions were, for one thing. And then I learned every day. I was learning a lot. There were things that I'm trying to think now. It was like overwhelming. The first 2 months, it was overwhelming how much I was learning every day. And then one day, different Bruce, my boss Bruce, sat me down and he said, "I think we'd like to keep you here." I said, "Great." He said, "Now I need you to start answering RFPs because we can't afford to keep you unless you start bringing in some money." So that's what I did. I learned what an RFP was. I learned how to answer them. And Feline mentioned proposals, but she kind of skipped over it. I'm not really prepared to completely talk about proposals, but I can get you on the right path here in a second. So RFPs. Companies, organizations, and government agencies generally put out an RFP when they know they need work. An RFP is a request for proposal. The whole idea is they don't have to know exactly what technology they want you to use, but they can give you an idea of what they want it to do, and then you come up with a solution and a cost for that solution. And you give it to them in a proposal, and they consider it. And basically, your proposal's compared with everybody else's. I'm going to skip some stuff because I'm not sure. I think we only have about 10 minutes left. Okay. So there are 3 types normally. We have completed proposals for businesses, nonprofit organizations, and government agencies. We recently got one for Vancouver Housing Authority. They are under all of the guidelines for a government agency, even though technically they are a nonprofit organization. But they take a lot of HUD money. Anybody here know what Vancouver Housing Authority is? Oh, okay, great. There's one person in the room. When you need to find a request for a proposal, there are lots of places you can look. Sometimes you can get a direct request, and we get those through our website. Has a contact form, and people will just submit stuff in there for us. Bigger companies like Gravitate get the full packet sent to them, and it's because they are well known and a lot of people would really like them to build stuff for them. We're smaller, so that doesn't happen so frequently for us. I tried finding requests for proposals myself. I'm just going to say RFPs, it's easier. I found several RFPs myself. I am pretty good at finding ones that we are a good fit for now. There are services you can pay, especially for government RFPs. You pay them and they provide you a list of current RFPs that are in your field. And then sometimes it's just about who you know. We have been given RFPs from people because we already had some kind of connection with them. So when they put one out, it was in the paper and it was on their website, and then they actually sent one to us because they had us do some work for them in the past. And then of course where you're connected, and while I was working on this presentation about 3 weeks ago, one of our clients came in. She works for the county, and she had just been at one of those shindigs where they ask for grant money, and she said, "Hey, while I was there, I noticed that these other people are looking for grant money for a new website. You should get in touch with them." So I did. But that doesn't happen all the time. Really, most of the time, if you're looking for the work, you're going to have to find them yourself. So the tricky bit, because you want the money, you're probably going to be tempted to write a proposal for all of them. That's not a good idea. I'm going to tell you why. You need to know your team and what they can handle. And if your team can't handle this job, if you'd have to get someone from outside to do a lot of the work, you can pay freelancers to do that. Sometimes you can pay other agencies to take on a piece of it, but that's going to end up costing you more than it's really worth. I've seen it a few times now, and usually their bids come back way higher than what we can afford. If we had someone in-house to just do it, it would be a whole different story, but we've had to pass on a few RFPs now because they're asking for something that is outside of our scope. Anyway, proposals, I'll just show you a couple. So one of the RFPs that we worked on was for the Samish Indian Nation. If you guys don't know who they are north of us and north of Seattle, actually. Anyway, this is what a normal RFP looks like, pretty normal. There's a lot of copy. It's a lot of them explaining, these are our requirements, this is what we need. Sometimes they know technology that they need, and sometimes they don't really have any idea. In this particular one, they wanted a family tree. Are any of you familiar with the software that's required for family trees? Just a little maybe. It is open source, but it is dated and not supported very well. So to find a developer that is comfortable working with it is difficult. We asked an agency in Chicago to give us a quote just for this section, and they quoted $50,000 just to look at it. So, it's not really a really great fit for us, and it wasn't a good fit for the tribe. And since I'm in, Just a minute. I will show you what one of our proposals looks like. While I'm in here. Other people do, this one was accepted, so that's a good example probably. Other people put a lot of photos in theirs. I don't, and the reason is because they're not paying us for pretty pictures in this proposal. And they aren't paying us at all for the proposal, and you should keep this in mind too. RFPs and answering them can take a lot of time. It is time consuming, but it can be really worth it. So this particular one, I spent about 10 hours doing research, figuring out exactly what they needed. They had 3 documents that we needed to understand to be able to give them a proposal. Anyway, we give general information about us, then we give referrals, and we tell them what we're going to do, why we're going to do it that way, and then at the end, I give them this really great quote that hopefully they like, and in there I have to cover everything that they're going to need, including software, or we don't make money. So your proposal has to be accurate and within their budget. It's helpful if you can get them to tell you what their budget is going to be, but you can't always. And I happen to like beer, so I thought this would be a good example. You have to balance your bottom line with customer service, and you could make all those kinds of beers, but whoever's brewing those for you is probably going to get really frustrated if you're just starting out. Sometimes web development is like this too. You offer too much and you can't get it all done, and definitely not get it all done by the deadline. So you have to kind of weigh out, is it good for the client? Is it good for us? And clients will always try to get scope creep. Everybody know what scope creep is? No? Scope creep, in the proposal, you're going to tell them exactly what you're going to do and what you won't do. So far, I am 99% of my clients have asked for something outside of the scope within the first month of having a contract with us. The reason that they do that is because they don't know how to ask for what they want. If we are prepared for that amount of cushion in our budget, we give them the first one. And after that, we just tell them, that's outside the scope of this project, let us give you a proposal for that work, and we'd be happy to do it for you if you approve it. But other than that, you just can't afford to keep giving them more, because it ends up eating up your bottom line and you have bills to pay. All right, so I'm going to leave you with this thought. Always be looking for the next thing. Always be learning. Always be looking for that next connection, and never give up. That's it. Yeah.
Any questions for Christine?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Dave?
So RFPs and actual contracts, what's the overlap?
Okay.
Mini contracts, or as what?
An RFP is their request for a proposal. Your proposal is what you send back.
That's what I mean.
Right.
Okay.
So once you've sent back the proposal, if they, and I should have told you, I'm averaging 1 out of 5 are a yes for us. They usually call you for an interview if you are in the top 3, and sometimes you still don't get it, and that's okay. That's the way it works. But if they accept your proposal, then you usually want a contract, and the reason is because it protects you. It also protects the client, but it protects you from scope creep for one thing. But also most contracts give you a bailout. So if they turn out to be a bad client, you have a way out, or they can fire you if they don't think you're doing a good job or not getting things done on time.
Follow up on that. So the proposal that you send back, you basically just throw some legal boilerplate around that? In other words, kind of integrate it into a legal framework?
You don't have to, for our smaller clients, especially the ones that just call or stop by when they want a quote. I just send them a proposal. If they sign it, we treat that as the contract. It doesn't have to have really specific legal terms in it, because most of the time they just abide by it, and so do we. We've only had to fire one client while I've been there, and he wasn't technically a client yet. But while we were doing that process where we were creating the contract, he kept changing the contract to the point where it left us in legal jeopardy, and the partners said no. So, yeah?
In your project management, do you use techniques like CPM and tools like say Microsoft Project?
Yeah, we don't use Microsoft because we're a Mac shop, but we use OmniPlan, and that one's pretty good.
One more question for Christine? No more questions for Christine. All right. Thank you, Christine.
Yeah.